We did it. We've teamed up, and together we've created something special. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're changing the game. We're covering Idaho high school sports in a way that you haven't seen before. Together, we'll be providing weekly breakdowns and recaps while helping uncover Idaho's top talents at a deeper level. Trust us, you want to be part of this. Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, and the Game Time Guru bring you Gym Session. Let's get to work. What's up, everyone? Welcome out to another episode of Gym Session. Alongside Tai Spangenberg from Boise Sports Talk and AJ Niebergall from EBC Media, I am Shane Larson from the Game Time Guru. This is Gym Session brought to you by the Idaho Underground Sports Network. We're into week 4 now. This is our 4th episode of the show where we're going to be providing you guys with some serious coverage of especially the 5A SIC football during the fall, trying to get into basketball during the winter months as well. But we want to remind you guys, as we got a couple of questions regarding this, the sports coverage, like what sports you guys are going to be covering, and why aren't you going into 4A and this and that? Trust us, guys. We want to provide the best coverage possible. All right, and that was our whole goal when we combined forces with all 3 of our platforms to do this. But please keep in mind, in order to provide this coverage, one, we're funding this ourselves. If you guys haven't realized, at this particular point, we have put all the money and time and effort into it ourselves. That we're trying to get all this. We have full-time jobs. We have other things that we're running. We have our own platforms that we're running. And so this is, our first step. We intend to scale this, but this is our first season working together, and we're trying to provide as in-depth coverage as possible. So in the future, we're looking to branch into different conferences, like different classifications, and then potentially do other sports. But we did try to make that clear at the very beginning when we opened up our page that we'd be focusing on 5A SIC football and basketball coverage for the first year, and we'll see where it goes if we can scale this out. But we do appreciate all the support thus far, and we promise you guys we're going to be doing our very, very best to scale this out, because we know you're asking those questions because you're enjoying the coverage that's being provided. So thank you for asking. We just wanted to cover that. Now, we would love for anybody who's on YouTube listening to this who hasn't followed us on Instagram yet, go to Instagram. That's our main platform where we're going to be providing all the coverage. So go to @Idaho Underground Sports and follow us there. That's where we interact with the fans. It's where we're posting all of our recaps and the fun stuff that we do to interact with all of you guys. We also want to give one quick shout out to Ty's cat. You might hear Ty's cat in the background from time to time, and he is our special guest every week on the show. So we just want to say thank you to Ty's cat. Now, here's the other thing. We're going to get into this week's coverage now that we got all the housekeeping items done. We had a good week of football. A lot of news, not a ton of close games per se, but some telling games that have kind of shifted some stuff in different directions in the SIC. We're going to break that down for you guys today. But last week's game of the week was Eagle versus Rocky. And Ty was on site at Eagle High School to cover that game, to see what was really there. We were going to see if Eagle was going to be able to hold up to the test. We had talked about it last week. Rocky coming off a loss, how did they respond? And this is where we're going to break it down. So I'm going to let Ty take it away first, as he was on site. He got to be there to experience the game day atmosphere at Eagle High School. So Ty, let's let you break it down to start off with the game of the week from last week.
Absolutely. Super fun game to be at. Thunder Stadium, as always, provides a ton of energy. Their fans were really getting after it. It was a beautiful night of football. I just kind of had that football weather to it. The final score ended up being 48-28. I don't think that fully depicts, the gap in the game. Eagle had a couple miscues on special teams. Rocky got a kick return followed by a fumble recovery on the ensuing kickoff. That changed the tide of the game. I think they scored 2 touchdowns in 48 seconds or 30 seconds or something like that. And that was in the first quarter. So that quickly flipped the momentum. And then Rocky was kind of able to do what they do inherently, and that's just control games, physical defense, followed by some, good smash mouth football. A couple big playmakers that stood out to me for Rocky. We got Art Williams, Hunter Stecker. They combined for over 300 yards. Art Williams found the end zone 3 times. What was fun about Rocky this week, their first 2 games, they scored 14 and 20, I believe. Today, or on Friday, they ended up dropping 48. The way they did it, though, is what stood out to me. So they used a bunch of different looks. They had, their quarterback Sweeney, more often than not, I think he was lined up out wide or, lined up at running back. They had several different guys, kind of wildcat options. Stecker was the one back there a lot of times. He was able to make some great runs from the backfield, ended up with 9 rushes for 90-something yards, and then another 7 catches, 123 yards. What stood out to me the most about that, though, is that they kept Sweeney in the game. I think that speaks volumes to his athleticism and his value to the team. And when he was behind center, he put in my opinion, his best outing of the season so far. He's gotten better each and every week as they continue to get healthy. They're just going to get scarier and scarier. Couple guys for Eagle that stood out, Ian Duarte, Donovan Jones, couple monster receiving performances. Something that kind of bit Eagle in the butt a little bit this week. And I don't want to ruffle any feathers or, I'm not coaching the team. But I've never seen a situation where using multiple quarterbacks in the same game works out to a team's benefit. It doesn't happen enough from the sample size that I've seen. Got a couple of different guys back there. Guy might get in a rhythm, then you take him out, put the other guy in, and it just kind of offsets the offense a little bit. And whether it's, weighing on those players or not, weighing on the other players, thinking who's the leader of the team, who's not, I think ultimately you got to stick with your guy and let them rip. That's something the Eagle hasn't quite done yet. I would love to see them start to air it out even further, but they weren't able to do that early and often enough in this game. Another guy that stood out for me, I talked about him last week, Rockies defensive back Troy Wilkie. Back-to-back weeks with a pick 6. His anticipation is next level. I see him out there, pointing guys, leading them, telling them where they need to be on the field as well. This is a guy that's a big-time playmaker. Week 1 against Highland had a huge pass deflection to prevent a game-winning touchdown, essentially, for Highland. They would have gone up had he not deflected it. So 3 weeks in a row now from Rockies defensive back. Got to give a shout-out to my guy, Troy Wilkie.
I have a question for you, Ty, in regards to the breakdown. We talked about Rocky last week. We said they're far from out of this thing. Like they lost a game. Whoopity-doo, people lose. It's a game. Somebody has to lose. And we were waiting to see how they responded. Based on what you saw, and you mentioned a lot of these names here, based on what you saw on Friday night, do you feel that Rocky's right back in the mix to compete for a 5A title, 5A SIC title, I should say, at least?
Absolutely. I mean, you say, are they back in the mix? I don't know if they ever left the mix.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone loses games. I think ultimately sometimes when you lose a game, that's a good thing for you. I think that was a good humbling thing for Rockies coaching staff, for Rockies players. They got a lot of young players who have kind of lived off of, the past team's success. Now it's their time to make it happen, and I think they're going to.
It's a good point. And I just want to remind those out there, maybe if you're a young athlete listening to this right now, like it's very difficult to go undefeated. That's why a lot of teams don't. It doesn't matter at what level of sports you're playing, but at any level of football, it's extremely difficult to go undefeated. It doesn't matter like the level of competition. It is hard to do that. So the expectations, I see why they were there because they've been so successful year in and year out for the last like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, I mean, a loss is going to happen, and obviously we're seeing the coaching adjustments. It's good. Everybody's starting to build. AJ, do you have any thoughts on the game from Friday between Eagle and Rocky?
Yeah, actually, what's really interesting to me is that Eagle still is unable to stop the run is what I was kind of waiting to. I mean, we thought that. Now I think we kind of know that. Now they go into this week, huge game. We've got 2 games this week in the SIC that are, based on our power rankings, two top 5 matchups. And now they get to go play Mountain View when they're trying to figure out this rush defense, which seems like is the problem. Ty just said you've got 2 guys that were over 300 yards combined. And I don't think I think it was Ty, 22, 23, 24 carries between the 2 of them with over 300 yards. That's a big problem. That's Seth Noth from BK all over again. And so I don't know if it's what's going on up front with them. I know they've got, Jones and White in the secondary, Tyler Ball's there, Carter Davis. They've got some playmakers, but I don't know what's going on defensively up front with Eagle. Offensively, I was surprised what they were able to do. It sounds like they were playing from behind, so they were airing it out a little bit, and it sounds like Rocky was playing a little bit more of that bend, don't break D instead of in your face. I wasn't there. I'm just assuming, and me and Ty talked a little bit. But yeah, Hunter Stecker's all over the place. He may be the biggest all-around weapon in the SIC. He's not getting into the end zone a ton. He had that 95-yarder in week 1, so we know what he's capable of. But he's just more and more and more impressive every week based on the numbers. I haven't got to see Rocky a ton in person. Eagle, I have not seen in person. I can't wait for this Friday at Mountain View. But both these teams, I think, are very good. Eagle, I think, has more glaring problems that they need to clean up right now. Ethan Makita being gone, I think we are going to see the effects of that as we go through the season. Deegan Martino had, I think, under 40 yards on 10 carries. So Rocky's front showed that they're one of the best, which we knew. But yeah, like you said, Shane, very telling game, I think, in some different areas, but still a lot of football to be played, a lot of adjustments to be made. This is kind of a semi-rivalry type game. Impressed with the 48 points Rocky scored at Eagle. So really, really excited to see kind of where both of these teams go from here. I think this is going to be another telling week, especially for Eagle.
Yeah, that's a good point. As we wrap this particular game up, what I was thinking is, Rocky's doing exactly what I think each one of us expected them to do. They were going to respond, and they're going to keep going as the elite team that they are. Eagle, this is their first major test of the season of like, okay, how do we respond? They've battled adversity, losing one of their top players week 1 with Makita, and like they're going through some growing pains. But here we go. Like, what do they do now? They're going to face the top team, arguably in the state right now. They have to figure it out now. And that's to the coaches as well. Now, the run game, we're going to see. I don't know. We'll talk about that in our weekly predictions. I think Rocky's exactly where we thought they'd be. Nothing's changed there. And Eagle, they can this is a make or break week for them coming up now to see how their coaching staff responds to a loss and how their players respond to a loss like that as they go in against another tough opponent. Now, we had a couple of great games this week that our guys were on site. We had obviously Eagle and Rocky. AJ was able to cover a little bit of Capital Centennial, and then was able to see some Hawaii versus CUNA stuff. We were getting coverage from Meridian and Timberline from some of the people sending us over some information for that game. So thank you guys to everyone who is DMing us and giving us the information so that we can get it out to the masses. Appreciate that. But during some of this coverage, and I got to shout out Boise and Skyview was on Thursday. That was the big one that started on Thursday. So like massive shout out to AJ and Ty specifically, but like all these games were fun to watch. But in those games, we found some hidden gems. So this week, we want to talk about our players of the week. Just like last week, we had co-players of the week. It's hard for us because there's so many awesome athletes out there. That's the whole point of this show and this platform is to uncover Idaho's top talents. But we can't just pick one, and sometimes it's hard just to pick two. But this week, we had guys getting it done on both sides of the ball, starting with Fifita. Okay, Antonio Fifita, first off, from Skyview. Antonio.
No N.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Sorry.
No N.
Atonio. Hey, let me fix that real quick. Okay. Like this.
Hey, we did it too when we were talking to him after the game.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I've been doing it all season.
Hey, there we go then. Okay, I appreciate you doing that. So I just fixed it for you. Atonio Fifita.
There we go.
Okay. Getting it done on both sides of the ball. Boise versus Skyview. Okay. AJ, I want you to break this down. You've been talking about this. You've been a fanboy of Skyview from the very beginning, and now we got to see them play a very big game against Boise. It was a solid game. You guys provided some amazing coverage Thursday night, but what did you see from Mr. Fifita on Thursday to make him be one of the players of the week, in your opinion?
I mean, we talk about, guys a workhorse all the time. I mean, this kid, I don't think he was feeling 100%. I mean, he was – after the first quarter, he was over there just, leaning over, just struggling with his energy. But, man, the kid is an absolute dog. He's a top 5 wrestler, I found out, in the state of Idaho. And he's nonstop on both. He 100% of the time. He'll run through you. He wants to run through you. He's shifty. He's got some sauce to his game. he sees things open up and happen before they happen. He understands his feel is just his IQ is very high. He knows who's blocking for him, who's capable of. I mean, you can just see him seeing everything happen before it happens, and that's fun to watch. And he carried the ball. I think it was, I want to say 18 times. He played, I think, almost every play of the game on defense. There would be times where he was out for a series or two at a time just to get his wind. And then when the gap started closing, the game started getting closer. When they got down, he was like, "Coach, I'm playing. Let's go." And I think he played the rest of the game. They fed him. He wanted the ball. At one point, me and Tai met up on the sideline because we were in different places, and they gave Fifita the ball 4 or 5 straight times. He went in on his own personal drive, and finally, after his 5th carry, he went over to the sideline, laid down, took a quick nap, and Max Cupford did a quarterback sneak up the middle and scored. So Fifita put him on his back, led him all the way down the field after they got down 3 to Boise, got on the board, took the lead again, Max Cupford touchdown. Fifita gets back up after his quick nap on the sideline, runs back on the field, and 2 plays later, pick 6, and extends the lead to 2 possessions. Excuse me. I just literally swallowed a fly. But yeah, so he was all I did. I swear to God, that's why I've got this thing here. I'm outside because my internet's is down. So apologies for that. That was unbelievable. That's got to be on the bloopers reel. But anyway, Fifita was all over the map, both sides of the ball. He was the best player on defense for him. Him and his cousin Neo were extremely impressive. Go check out our post on Instagram for hit of the week. Both of them are up for the hit of the week. And then offensively, he did what he needed to do. And by the end of the game, I mean, he could barely talk to us. I interviewed him after the game, and he had no voice. I mean, he's a leader. He's uplifting his guys. He's positive. He may be my favorite player in the SIC. Based on what I had heard about him, then I went and watched him, got to know him a little bit. And he's hitting us up nonstop about his teammates. Hey, my cousin Neo, he's doing this. Max is doing this. Aiden's doing this. Camden's doing this. He's all about his boys. That's the type of leader you need. We talked about that with Max Clark last week, but he was extremely impressive. He wasn't as big as I thought he was, but he plays bigger than he is, and he plays as big as I thought he was. So if you have a night off, go watch this kid play football. It's a treat for sure. But Skyview was Boise was better than I thought they were. Skyview may have been who I thought they were, but Boise was extremely impressive, like very impressive what they're doing over there, how quickly it's happening. They've got athletes everywhere. They're getting the ball to their athletes. Braden Anderson at quarterback, he's a big, strong boy. He's got nice arm action. He's smooth. He gets the ball to his playmakers. But Boise's on the rise. Skyview, I think, is right there, kind of middle of the pack, maybe has an opportunity to get more towards the front. I think they need to beat somebody. They've got a Waihe at home this week. That could be a trap game because Waihe's a type of team that, they're big and physical. Skyview's not. Skyview's not deep. If Fifita gets ran down and the physicality of Waihe comes into play, Waihe could come in and that could be a trap game for Skyview. So I'm very interested in that game, actually. But Skyview was impressive. They have Aiden Martinez, a sophomore cornerback. Tai and I were like, he's a sophomore. He's one of the best corners in the SIC. Camden Young's a great receiver. Neo Fifita, like I said, they've got a lot of guys. Their front seven's very physical. Mr. Judy up there. Tai was giving me a free lesson on him. They've got some playmakers, Fleshman as well. But Skyview's good. Boise is going to beat some people as well, I think. They'll upset some people down the road. But I'm curious to hear what Tai has to say about it.
Go for it, Tai. Let us know, man.
Yeah, I mean, you summed up most of it for sure. We talked to quarterback Max Cupford after the game, and I said, what stands out to me is your guys' energy. And he points over to the Fifitas, Neo and Atonio, and he says it's because of those guys right there. And in that moment, I was like, yep, that's the leaders of that team, and that's a running back that, as the game went on, he got stronger. And, you hear about all of the great running backs throughout history, really, and that's kind of the one commonly used expression is that throughout the game, they take over, they get better, they want it, and that boy went and got it. So it was fun to watch. The hype was real on that, on him, on the Skyview Hawks in general. AJ touched on, Fifita's size. I thought he would be physically bigger, yes, but he played bigger than I thought that he did. So made up for it there, absolutely.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, Ty, because what I always think about with Fifita, and again, I apologize, it's Atonio. I screwed that up at the beginning, but props to Ty for, confirming that for me. I always just worry about guys like this wearing down, but you would just mention that he got better as the game went on. I wonder if he can keep that up throughout the duration of the season. If they have to lean on him so heavily on both sides of the ball, can he keep it up? Maybe he can.
Especially against a team like Boise, better than we thought, yes, but they're not Mountain View. They're not Rocky. They're going to have a tough time with those teams, and they'll need to open up the passing game and not completely rely on Atonio in those situations.
I completely agree. It's going to be tough against those teams with the lack of depth and how much they put on him. I mean, we've seen it, and he's told me even the last couple of weeks they haven't played the top tier competition yet. And he's just like, man, it's a lot. And when they come up against these guys that are just play at a different speed, we'll see. But go Hawks. So
for sure. The next guy up for us this week is a stud from Capital, Kody Walk. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right here. 6 receptions this week with a touchdown, 58 yards, 1 TD, and then 5.5 sacks. Again, he's getting it done on both sides of the ball. This guy, I was telling the guys before we started recording, he reminds me of a former Capital alum, and that is Kyle Efa from Capital, who ended up playing at Boise State University as a tight end. He reminds me a lot of him. That's who I graduated the same class as Kyle Efa, and that the reason he reminds me of him is because Kody is out there getting it done on both sides of the ball. A big receiver who is, sure-handed. Like Clark can throw the ball up to him, and he knows he's going to catch the ball. And it's not only that. What I've noticed with Kody, not just this week, but in weeks prior, is he knows how to get downfield when he catches the ball. It's not like he just catches it and falls down. To me, a receiver who, the receivers that I want to have are those who are going to catch the ball and get north and south. Like, well, you know what I mean? So go upfield, get to the end zone, or do what you got to do to get to the field marker for the first down. And he does that. The yards after catch is just a huge thing for Kody, and he's reliable. But then he's getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. So let's talk about Kody. Ty, let's get your thoughts first and break it down for this guy, because he is a big reason that Capital continues to impress us as they light up the scoreboard.
Yeah, so Kody's another one of those guys that I had a chance to cover pretty in-depthly this spring, covering 7-on-7 football. He played for Triple Threat Academy. I don't think that he played in the first tournament that I watched. So going into the second tournament, I see this huge, physically imposing kid walking on the field. I'm like, who in the world is that? Well, sure enough, Mr. Kody Walk. To me, he is the most college-ready high school football player in the state right now. His size is next level, his leadership, his versatility, getting it done on both sides of the ball, and the way that he moves also. Sometimes you get those big, strong, physical kids, but they're not moving well, right? They're not necessarily a football player. This is a football player right here. He's going to keep doing this all season long. He's a man amongst boys. I've said it multiple times on social media now. This kid is the real deal. Him and Castillo, I think, are going to be the 2 leading touchdown in the SIC by the time the season's over. These guys are just big physical dudes who are going to be taking care of business all year long.
So true. He is such a physical receiver. Like, he's a specimen. That's the coolest thing about him is at this age, that's why he's so good. I mean, Max Clark can get him the ball and he'll do his thing because he takes care of himself in the weight room. He puts the time in, and he's gifted genetically. You gotta give him credit because he's a big dude and he can move. And like you said, Ty, one thing that did stick out to me as well, which I didn't say before, is usually these big guys, not usually, but sometimes these big guys don't necessarily have the athleticism yet. It might take him a few years after high school to get to that peak, but he's actually developed really, really well at his age, and he can move. He can really, really move. AJ, after catching him a little bit, at least in the first half this last week, what are your thoughts on Mr. Walk?
He's a freak show. He's an absolute freak show. He's the scariest player I've seen in the SIC. And there's some dudes out there, right? He is, I mean, Zeke Martinez boys up front better be ready because Mr. Walk is coming off 5.5 sacks, chasing around Keon Horton, who's tough to catch. He's extremely physically imposing. Like Tai said, Tai actually educated me on him before the season, so I was excited to see him. This game Thursday, I still haven't decided who I'm picking because Capital is the most impressive team I have watched in person so far. It was against Centennial, I know, but Kody Walk and Ethan Castillo and those guys just blew me away. But Kody Walk defensively was in on every other play. Like 5.5 sacks is absurd. Like that's insanity. Chandler Jones for the Cardinals had 5 sacks yesterday, and that like doesn't happen. And Kody Walk had 5.5. Like
I was gonna make that comparison. Good work.
Yeah, my guy. No, but it's just like I saw that what Chandler Jones did, and everyone's like, he's gonna be defensive player of the week. And now, and we're sitting here talking about Kody Walk dominating the game on both sides, and not just Kody. When I looked out at Capital's defense, just to I was like, I want to try to get to know their defense a little bit. Will Kovac played really well at linebacker. He's one of the guys that's up for hit of the week as well. But Castillo was playing defense. Cherry was playing defense. Downey was playing defense. Walk was playing defense. And I was like, these dudes are a serious problem. And Kody Walk he's the leader. By example, those guys look to him. I mean, he's just one of those dudes that you look at and you're like, is that a kid or a coach? Like, what's going on? Because he's a man-child. And if you have not seen him play, just like Atonio, go watch this kid play football. Tai said, I think he's a D1 kid. He's the most college ready. And I think he can choose what side of the ball he wants to play on because his speed and awareness and, his agility is it's off the charts. So he was fun to watch.
Give him credit. Kody Walk and Atonio Fifita getting it done on both sides of the ball. Both of them, guys, this is what we want. If you guys are listening to this and you guys haven't seen them, then I would highly encourage you. That's the whole point of the show. We want to uncover Idaho's top talent. So go check them out. Hopefully this kind of stems some interest. If you're a coach, if you're a recruiter, or if you're just a fan, you want to go catch them, go catch them. Make sure you're following us too, because we'll probably have some coverage of them as well. So make sure to go catch them. They're fun to watch. It's always good. I'll talk to both of you, like coaching club ball, for example, in basketball. One of my favorite things was like, even when we were competing and you play against somebody that's like really good talent, for me, I love just being around greatness. I love being around good athletes. And that's why I love doing this show and being on this platform, because we're helping uncover some of this so that other people can have that benefit as well. We understand where the athletes are at so you can go and witness some of this stuff, because it's actually truly special to be able to see some of these guys play. And sometimes people just don't know about them. So hopefully now you know. Kody Walk, Atonio Fifita, this week's Hidden Gems. So with some of the games that happened this week, we had a little bit of shifting, at least on the bottom portion of our power rankings. And we're going to go over that a little bit right now for you guys. Each week we're going through the power rankings. Some people agree and some people disagree. So let us know. Leave us a comment. Go follow us on Instagram. Let us know what you guys think of the power rankings. But we're going to put this here at the bottom, talking about where we have everybody currently. Now, according to our post that we have, we've got Mountain View, Rocky, Meridian in the top 3, Capital, Eagle, Skyview to finish out the top 6. Then we've got Timberline, Boise, Centennial, Bora, Cuna, and Owyhee at the very bottom here. And I don't think that's too much of a surprise. I want to know what you guys have to say, though. So I'll start again with Tai on this one, on the power rankings. Do you think there was anything that was like massively, like anything that happened that like changed our perspective that was like totally crazy this week? Or do you think that we pretty much, should be in congruency or whatever with everybody else?
I think the Boise Brave faithful would agree with what I'm about to say here, that we were sleeping on them a little bit. They had a loss this week, but we moved them up a spot. I think that they can hang with Centennial. I think that they could probably beat Centennial from what I've seen from Centennial the last 2 weeks. I think Boise is getting better. I don't know if I could say the same about Centennial right now. Another surprise kind of towards the back end, Bora got hung 57 on this week, lost by 50. still moved them up a spot. Their offense to me is that Bradley Toth is the leading receiver in the league right now. I think him alone is going to give Kuna or Owyhee fits. I don't think that they would have an answer for him. I think he would eat them up. So while Bora may have gotten 50 scored on them this week, big loss, I do think that they're a better team than those two bottom teams. And my biggest miss of the season so far, and I will humbly admit it, I had Owyhee going in ranked higher than what we have seen so far. We got them on the bottom where I think a lot of people would have put them to begin the season. But I'll admit my miss on that one, and we got them probably where they need to be right now.
Allow me to say something too on this for the Bora crew. So people are going to be like Ty said, some people might be like, dude, they lost by 50. They gave up 50 plus. Listen, don't be a stat watcher. I can't stand stat watchers. Look at the eye test. You can see when people have talent and like kind of where it's at. It's not like we're saying Bora's number one in the conference. Okay. He's got him at 10, but yes, like they've got some weapons. I watched the beginning of the game against Mountain View this Saturday. They had it tied 7-7. It's just that Mountain View responded and went, okay, let's flip the switch real quick, wake up on a Saturday morning and then let's get going. And they did their thing, but we also, we understand that Mountain View is one of the top teams in the state of Idaho as well. So understand where you're at there. But Owyhee, while they're at the bottom, I will say this. I think Owyhee has a solid offense. They have weapons at the receiver position across the board. They've got athletes at the receiver position. They've got a very capable quarterback in Irwin. I think he's a stud. He's a sophomore. He's still young. He's still developing. And they've got weapons there. And they obviously know how to put up points. They can move the ball. I saw them move the ball against Capital. They just couldn't convert in the red zone. But they had multiple drives where they're just moving on Capital like 2 weeks ago. So it's their defense. Their defense at Owyhee, it's young. They're green. They're not as physical as a lot of the teams out there. And they're about 2 or 3 steps late in a lot of their assignments, it seems, when I'm watching them play. And that's where I would have to agree with them being at the bottom. It's no disrespect to them. They're young, and that's kind of what's actually expected. You'd like to say, oh, no, here's our expectations. We don't think we're at the bottom, but that's the reality. There's some very experienced programs in the 5A SIC this year. So Owyhee's defense is going to be their kryptonite right now until they can fix that. It's their Achilles heel, and right now they need to patch some big time holes, or at least just get a little more experience. AJ, what are your thoughts on the power rankings?
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited about having 2 top 5 games this week, and they're on different nights. Thursday we've got Meridian at Capital, which we'll talk about here. Eagle at Mountain. Boise, I like where Boise's at. I think Boise at Bora is going to be a good game this weekend. I think that's going to be telling as well, who's kind of closer to the middle of the pack, who's closer to the bottom tier. Once again, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I think, like you said, a couple blowouts, more of a telling week than a big shifting, moving of teams type of week. Boise was the biggest surprise this week, I think, in a positive way. And then just Owyhee was so close to having their first win. Gus Austin broke their hearts. But yeah, I think it's right where it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't think anything's too crazy right now with the power rankings, but we'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Make sure to check them out and send us some comments and let us know. We love to converse with you guys. We like to be educated sometimes. So if, in a respectful way, if you guys want to let us know what you think and quote unquote educate us, feel free to do so. But just know that we got 3 guys here, the Guru, Boise Sports Talk, and EBC, that will respond back too with our information. So come try to educate and we'll see what we got. All right. And also, I'm just going to say this. I have to touch base on this. Last week, I said Centennial hit the weight room, and then come back and tell me, show me. And they got absolutely manhandled for the second week in a row. So that's what I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, so we're moving on with the weekly breakdown coming up. AJ just alluded to 2 awesome games coming up this week. Thursday, we've got Capital versus Meridian. Just like we had 2 hidden gems, 2 players of the week. This week we have 2 games of the week. One on Thursday, one on Friday that we're going to be talking about. But Capital versus Meridian. Super excited for this one because we're really going to see what happens. Capital, some people are saying, well, they haven't played anybody terribly difficult yet. Well, Meridian outside of Mountain View, they might have the same conversation there. So now we're going to see, okay, now we got 2 top 5 teams. Let's see what happens. Now, AJ, I'm going to have you start for us if you're with us. I think it might be a tad lagging, so I'm trying to see where everyone's at. But let us know what your thoughts are on the Capital Meridian game.
Yeah, sorry, internet is just so amazing. I would say this is going to be a huge test for Meridian. At the start of the season, I didn't believe in Meridian's secondary much. I think they're extremely underrated. I think Jude Argon has had a great start to the season. Ryan Corder he's one of the leading tacklers in the league. They've got some guys that can play, and those linebackers, they clean up everything. And that front and the defensive line is getting better and better. And they just shut down Zenner and Markham. I think Timberline had like 70-something total yards after hanging 40, 50 points their first 2 games. So that was impressive. Martinez is just extremely efficient. He's getting the ball to the right guys. He drops dots all over the place. Throws a great deep ball. I don't know if Malachi is going to be back this week. I don't know if he needs to be quite yet. Zeke is just doing his thing, extremely efficient. I think at some point Malachi, because of the leadership aspect of it, is going to need to come back. And do his thing.
All right, I'm not sure what happened to AJ. Looks like he's having some technical difficulties. Hold on, here he is. He's coming.
Yeah. I'm going inside now, and hopefully that helps with the internet problem. Sorry about that, everybody. That's my second blooper of the day.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Hold up. You're fine, AJ. So listen, that's the reality of what we're doing here, fellas. Like, I love it. This is for people listening. That's what we're doing. We're trying to record this, and things happen, and I think people understand that. So what I heard you say, you were talking about Malachi if he comes back. Last thing I had personally heard was not sure if he needs to, and then you were talking about Zeke, and all of a sudden I didn't hear anything else after that.
Are we doing our picks right now? Is that what I'm on?
No.
Or just talking.
We were talking about Capital Meridian still. So, Ty, I'm going to let you kind of go into your Capital Meridian breakdown and give us your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, ultimately, this could be one of the best matchups we've seen all season long. 2 high-powered offenses, arguably the 2 best receiving cores in the SIC. For me, it's which defense is going to step up, and Meridian has continued to do that. You look historically at big-time matchups through any level of football, college, pro, whatever, right? I'm going to use my old Denver Broncos Super Bowl 50 victory win against the Carolina Panthers high-powered offense, right? The stout defense, more times than not, is the one that comes away with the victory against that high-powered offense in big-time situations. Now, my question now is this a big enough situation for these guys to come out with that tenacity defensively and get this big-time win? Or is this kind of one of those regular season wins that Capital comes in with a high-powered offense and just airs it out on these guys? I like everything that Zeke has done. I think that he should absolutely be the quarterback this week. Give Malachi one more week, let him get fully healthy, and give Zeke that experience that he needs going forward in his career anyway. This game's going to be a fun one. You guys will not want to miss this. I hope you guys are all going to be there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. The 3 amigos, we're going to be on the scene. You guys will not want to miss this one. Arguably the game of the year so far. Like I said, I think it comes down to the more experienced defense, and to me, that's Meridian.
Talking about the defense there, Ty, I was thinking the same thing. Max Clark for Capital, he'll roll out. He's capable of throwing in the pocket. He's capable of throwing on the run. And his receivers are obviously more than capable of catching the ball and then getting upfield. We just talked about Mr. Walk earlier today, and you got Castillo. You got everybody across the board that can just catch the ball and go. And Clark doesn't typically make the wrong decision. He usually makes the right decision. So I don't know, how well Meridian's going to do as far as getting pressure and rattling him. But what I will say is this. I actually think it's going to be their linebackers who are going to need to step up, which they have some very stout linebackers at Meridian. All right. They're going to need to they're going to need to make the tackles, right? I can see you can't let the yards after the catch happen against Capital. So keep everything in front of you and wrap up. That's what you're going to have to do. And I think Meridian has the better defense. I really do. And then to the contrary, like what I was going to say is walk on the defensive side of the ball. I think Meridian's got the running game to completely affect that, to counter it. Run away from the guy, first off. Wherever he lines up, you set up your plays to go around, and that's how you do it. Like, it's as simple as that. And then every once in a while, go straight at him. Sometimes, and that might be Meridian's mentality. Maybe they go straight at him and wear him down. As a boxer, one of my favorite things that coaches always used to teach us, like, how the best defense is a good offense. If you're hitting somebody in the body over and over and over, and you're just constantly putting pressure on them, well, then they're exhausted and they're going to have a hard time throwing back. Well, maybe if you need to take away one of their best weapons, which is, Mr. Walk there, maybe you go right at him. Maybe you wear him down. But I think Meridian has the running game to control the ball and control the clock and wear them down. And they have the defense that can get the job done. I'm excited to see this one. Like Ty said, you guys better be tuning in for this one on Thursday because it's going to be an absolute blast. Friday night, we talked about this one a little bit earlier. We got Mountain View versus Eagle. This is the Eagles' response game to their loss against Rocky this week. Mountain View is just riding high right now. They are, they're just getting it done. Quintez Evans is killing it for them, as we talked about last week. I mean, this team is something special. Ty, what do you expect from this one? Do you expect it to be close? Do you think Eagle can respond? Or do you think Mountain View just, puts the pedal to the metal and goes?
I think this is going to be tough for Eagle, especially since it's at Mountain View. We've been to one of their games already this season. Super electric crowd. Their student section gets it going. Shout out Dylan Logsden, holding it down. Arguably the funniest dude on IG right now. I'm gonna keep saying it until teams start to do it. But these two teams in particular, we saw it a little bit this week actually with Mountain View. They started to air it out a little bit. Saw while he only ended with 150 yards. We're not just looking at stats here, but started to air it out a little bit. I saw a couple touchdown strikes that he had early on in the game. Benson and Eagle, they need to get it aired out even more. He had 300 yards this week, but I think that he needs to have, upwards to 400 yards and 4 touchdowns if they want to have a shot at winning this game. We'll see if Aiden Whipple returns for the Mountain View secondary. So far, Hank Wimoff has held it down. Rylan Elliott in the secondary. They're doing their job. Eagle can win this game. They're going to have a really hard time. They need to make defensive adjustments to stop the run. I think that they are going to be moving some guys around from what I've heard to try and, fix that from what they've had so far. Rough outings against Bishop Kelly, rough outing again this last Friday night. Hopefully we see some guys moved around, just not in the quarterback position. If we could just keep one guy back there, I think that's going to be their biggest key to success. And, whoever that may be, right? But whoever it is, ride with that guy, give him the confidence, and show that the team has the confidence in him too, right? And go let him rip. He's got some playmakers in Ian Duarte, Donovan Jones. Deegan Martino was a receiver before he moved to running back. Maybe get him some more passes out of the backfield. But ultimately, for me, their defense has got to step up, and they have to air it out if they want any shot at winning.
Totally. And I want to echo that as far as the 2-quarterback system. Never been a fan, like you said earlier. If you want to win a game against an elite team, you've got to find a rhythm. And I feel like when you have a 2-quarterback system, that's what I meant. It's hard to find a rhythm for your team. And yeah, they don't know who the leader is. It shocks the confidence of the person taking the snap. So just, in my opinion, get one quarterback there, show them the confidence, and the team rallies around him. AJ, what do you think? Oh, go ahead.
To that point, really quick. Everyone handled that situation well. No one's body language was off. Everyone handled it like a true competitor. And I do want to say that because there wasn't any issues on that end. But from an outsider's perspective, yeah, you just kind of see that rhythm kind of get sucked away when that quarterback gets taken out after 3 completions.
100%. AJ, what are we expecting from Mountain View versus Eagle?
I think Mountain View is going to control the game. I think they're going to just run the ball down Eagles' throat. I think that's their plan. I'm sure that's what they're talking about this week, because these guys can't stop the run. We got the best run game in the state. Let's give it to them. This could be a blowout. I do not think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's actually going to be a lot closer than I think maybe all of us think. I think Eagle has the ability to score points. I think we saw what Benson just did with those receivers. Martino's going to hopefully have a better game. I don't know. Mountain View's rush defense is better than Rocky's. I think we saw that. And so they have to find a way to get the run going a little bit to open things up for Donovan Jones, Duarte, Michael Justice, and those guys. But I don't know, man. I think for some reason this is going to be a closer game than anticipated, but I can also see it being an absolute blowout. I think Mountain View could come in and win this game 35-7 or 42-10 or whatever, because their defense is so good, at every level, all three levels. And I don't know. I'm excited to watch Eagle. Gage Jones and Brock White are two of the leading tacklers in the league. They are both, in the secondary. They're gonna need to come up and play like linebackers, and you have to make Dawson Wall beat you, which is easier said than done with this offensive line that Mountain View has. That is still, for me, the top position unit or group in the entire SIC. So it's like Mountain View's strength against Eagle's weakness, but I know Eagle has the ability to score a ton of points, but Mountain View's defense is really good. So it looks like a bad situation for Eagle, honestly, on the road too. But I think it's going to be a closer game. I'm not going to pick Eagle to win this game by any stretch of the imagination, but I hope it's not a blowout. I hope it's a high-scoring affair. I hope both defenses, have the ability to force some turnovers, score some points, but it could be a bad one. It could be a bad one for sure. But I think we're gonna see a lot of big plays and a lot of, Eagle just lost. They're gonna be ready to roll. So it's gonna be fun to see.
Totally. And the interesting point here is, Tai mentioned it earlier about the Eagle and Rocky game, is that game flipped within like a 50-second window. There were some big plays that happened that caused that. And I think that if Eagle, it's a big if, and it's a tough ask for them, but if they can control those variables of the game, they can at least be in there to compete when, it's getting down to crunch time in the fourth quarter. But again, you're on the road against arguably the top team in the state, or one of, and that's a very tough ask. You're going to have to control the ball. You can't make mistakes. You can't throw interceptions. You got to cover on the special team side of the ball. You got to wrap up. You can't let things like that happen, because with a team that's as electric as Mountain View and dominant as Mountain View, the same thing can happen that happened with Rocky, is it can just get completely out of hand. And like you said, AJ, it's weird how there are games like that where you could see this being, really competitive all the way to the end, or you could see it being a complete downward spiral. You could see it being a blowout. Like, it's so funny how that happens in sports, but I'm in the same boat. I think that could potentially happen, but either way, makes for an exciting matchup. So guys, pay attention to our games. Thursday, Capital versus Meridian. Friday, Mountain View versus Eagle. We'll be there covering the games for everybody. So make sure to check it out. Now we're going to get into our weekly picks this week from each one of us. As you guys know, Austin Bolt is part of our crew here doing he's our special guest doing our picks each week with the lightning round. So we'll get to him in just a little bit. He's preparing for his game this week against Oklahoma State for Boise State. But we're going to get into ours. I will start because I am losing out of Bolt is technically behind everybody in regards to our picks, but out of the three of us, I am currently losing, and I'm so upset because I picked a Waihe this last week, and that was my upset pick to okay, they'll get something for me. And like AJ said, Gus Austin just broke everyone's hearts, including mine. So I'm going to go down the line real quick with my picks. So pay attention. Here's from the guru. Waihe versus Skyview. While AJ said that could be a trap game, I don't see a Waihe pulling that one out. I think Skyview wins that one by 2 touchdowns. Eagle versus Mountain View, game of the week. On Friday, I got Mountain View winning by 2 touchdowns. Timberline versus CUNA. Man, see, I actually, even though Timberline got completely walloped this last week, I actually think they come in there and they handle business. Timberline wins in that one. Centennial versus Rocky won't even be close. Rocky's going to just completely run over the top of them. Meridian at Capital. Tough one for me. Very, very tough, because I like all the Capital guys. I love Max Clark, but I love my Meridian guys too. I see this one being a very, very physical, close game, and I see it being a Meridian win by 10. I think Meridian wins that game by 10 points. Boise at Bora. This one is also going to be interesting for me. Boise is making a believer out of all of us, I think. They're proving some people wrong, and they're showing what their potential is. Bora has some talent on that side of the ball. This is going to be one of those games. It's like, okay, what can happen? But I do think Boise has the more talented team, not just player. They don't just have one athlete. I think Boise wins that one by 2 touchdowns as well. So I'm taking Boise over Bora. AJ, let's get yours.
Yeah, Owyhee at Skyview. I'm going Skyview. I think it will be a close game. I do think Owyhee is going to make that a game. I'm going to go Skyview, though, because I'm a fanboy. And then Eagle at Mountain View. I've got Mountain View in that game. I said I was going to pick Eagle. I just can't see their biggest weakness stopping Mountain View's biggest strength when it comes down to it. Timberline at Cuna. I am going to go with the Cavemen in this one. I want to mix it up a little bit. I like that they got the win. They were missing some guys who were out. Luke, I'm a fan of Luke Snar, Lukanga, Cole Lukanga, who I was calling Luke Lukanga. There's too many Lukes on Cuna. Gus Austin. I like them at home beating Timberline. For me, it's a toss-up. I'm going to go with the home team, Cuna, coming off a win. And then Centennial at Rocky. Rocky Mountain is going to absolutely annihilate Centennial. Centennial play is way too slow for me. I get they may be trying to control the game, but you got a lot of fast, quick athletes. You spread it out. You need to play faster. It just seems like they just can't get a rhythm at all because they don't play fast. I think they're going to lose by 60. Boise Bora, I'm going to go Boise because I saw him play. Haven't seen Bora play. I know Bora probably has the best player in this game, the leading receiver. I think he'll have a big game, but I think Boise is going to be comfortable enough at Donald Larson to win that game. I like what I see from Boise. I love their head coach. Got a chance to meet him. I'm going to go Boise in that game. Meridian Capital. Still don't know. I'm probably going to take a page out of Ty's book, and I'm going to pick Meridian because you got to take the better defense. Capital, I don't know if Meridian's defense is better. Meridian's defense is averaging 7 points a game still. Very impressive. What they just did to Timberline, very impressive. They've got to go to Donna Larson on a Thursday night, and I don't think they quite know what they're going to run into with Capital. I think Capital's offensive line is good enough to give Max Clark time, and I think he's good enough to pick Meridian apart. I want Meridian's secondary to prove that they're a state championship caliber secondary. In this game, I'm a Meridian fan first and foremost with the family ties and all that. I always talk about that. Everybody knows I'm Meridian. I try to be unbiased. I picked Mountain View to beat them. I was right about that. I'm not going to pick Capital to beat them. I want Capital to show me that their defense is capable of stopping Cross and Papi Del Rio, and then Riley and Thacker. I'm hearing Akery may not be playing. I think that's a huge loss. I think he's maybe the best number 3 receiver, along with either Cherry or Downey at Capital in the SIC. I hear he may not be playing. That would be a huge loss. Someone else is going to have to step up for Meridian besides Thacker and Riley. But I like Meridian's run game. Kody Walk's going to have another huge game to win that game. I'm going Meridian in that game because I'm a Meridian fanboy.
Ty, round it out for us, man.
Yeah, starting off Owyhee Skyview, I think Max Cutforth goes for 300 plus for the first time this season. Shreds Owyhee secondary like every other team has done so far. I got the Hawks by 40 over the Storm. By 4 touchdowns over the Storm, not 40, 28 points. I'm going 35-7 in that one. Big win for the Hawks. Mountain View Eagle. I got Mountain View. I'm going to give them a comfortable 14-point cushion in that one. You kind of summed it up well. Eagle could fight in that game, could be in it all game long, or it could be kind of a similar result to what we saw last week, right? Could go either way. They need to start strong and keep that mentality, throughout the whole game. Timberline Cuna. I don't know if Meridian's defense is that elite or that I've just had Timberline's offense overly ranked. They had put up great numbers the first 2 weeks of the season and then come out with one of the more dismal performances we've seen from really any offense this season so far. I think they've got the playmakers to come back, bounce back, get a big win against a Cuna team that's fresh off a win. I'm not going to call that a big win. That was a last-second win against arguably the worst team in the conference. So I got Timberline in that one by 3 touchdowns. Rocky Centennial, I got Rocky by 35 in that one. I think that they roll in every aspect of the game. Watch out for Daniel Juarez on special teams. He has been a menace back there. This past game against Eagle, took one to the house, had a couple other really nice returns. Rocky constantly had great starting field position, and that's to Daniel Juarez, the third's credit. So I think they roll. Going Boise Bora, I'm gonna have to go with Boise. We saw some serious fight for them. Their quarterback took that loss hard. Braden Anderson. I think he comes back with another strong outing. He had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think he does, maybe even more than that this week against a Bora team that's allowed a lot of points. They'll need their defense to make some plays. They got some dogs on linebacker. Shout out Sam Whitney, their linebacker coach, for getting those guys right. I got Boise by 14 in this one. I think they win the Battle of the Bees. It's a red year. I think they win that one. And we kind of touched on it. Meridian Capital. This is one of the tougher decisions I think any of us have had to make. But I said it already. I'm going to go with the stronger defensive team. I think this could be actually a somewhat low-scoring affair. I could be really wrong on that, but I got it at like a 21-14 maybe. If Meridian is to win, that's what the score needs to be for them to win. But I do have them winning, so Warriors in that one.
Wow. So we're pretty much all in agreement except for AJ taking the caveman. So I think we're pretty much all on the same line this week. See if we're right or wrong. Come check it out. Let's see what Austin Bolt has to say. So we'll put this here as a break for Austin's picks with the lightning round with Austin Bolt.
For this week's picks, I got Hawaii versus Skyview. I got Skyview. I got Eagle versus Mountain View. I got Mountain View. I got Timberline versus Kuna. I got Timberline. I got Centennial versus Rocky. I got Rocky. I got Meridian versus Capital. I'm taking Capital. And then I got Bora versus Boise. Bora all the way, baby.
All right. So you heard it from him. We'll see how we all match up now. See if we can start climbing the rankings. And the only way I'm going to be able to kind of make a push towards AJ is if, Kuna loses this week. So got to start somewhere. Real quick, I want to give a kicker appreciation post real quick. I was going to do this special teams appreciation type of deal. We appreciate everybody who, was talking to us on our Instagram story of what you guys want to see. When we've got a couple things in store for you in the next couple of weeks with some of the stuff too. But kicker appreciation, I want to give a shout out to the kickers for Skyview and Boise. AJ and Tai were able to watch them play, but I was at home and I got to watch the clips, and that was the first thing that stood out to me. I was like, dude, those kickers are solid. And at the high school level, that's actually super impressive. So does anybody, you don't have to, but Tai and AJ, do you guys have anything to say about the kickers over there? Because I was impressed with the legs they both had and the field goals that they made, because that's not easy at the high school level. We all know that. Kickers are important too.
I definitely do. So I actually don't know those names. I don't know if you're looking those up right now, AJ. Those 2 kickers were as efficient as they come. Look at you. You're on it. So we've seen the top teams in the league play so far this season. I've seen Rocky, I've seen Mountain View, I've seen Eagle. Who am I missing? Meridian. So I've seen 4 of the top 5 teams in the league play live. They have all had kicking and special teams issues. Skyview and Boise did not. Very efficient outing from them, hitting really good range kicks. I think a couple 30-yarders from what I saw, and they were right down the pipe. Plenty of legs. So, yeah, shout out to them. Love this segment. Whoever said for us to talk about it, love that too. Got to show everybody some love.
Yeah, Boise, Nick Beswick-Seidel, their kicker, a real clutch kick too. They came back and had a chance to take their first lead of the game. He had a nice 30-plus yarder right down the middle, like you said. That was impressive. And then Tino Gallivan from Skyview, every extra point, boom, right there, real confident. Man, both those guys did their thing. And Tai, like you said, those are two areas that those guys can win you ball games. Those guys can get you into a playoff hunt or into the playoffs or win a playoff game. I mean, very important position that doesn't get as much love. So, like you said, excited to continue to talk about not just kickers, but special teams having a little bit more focus from us moving forward. So I'll keep my eyes open.
For sure. And shout out to Tyler Rassa as well. He's the coach who's coaching Nick from Boise, the kicker from Boise. Tyler Rassa was a kicker for Boise State. And I actually had him on my show, The Game Time Guru, talking about his experience in the XFL. He kicked for the XFL as well as in the Arena Football League, and he's still trying to make it into the NFL. But he's a kicking coach, and you can see that. Like, it's obviously paying dividends for Nick over at Boise because, 31-yarder right down the pipe. He had a punt within the 10-yard line, onside kick. That was huge. And like AJ said, that's going to be huge. If you want to compete, sometimes the special teams can make a huge difference in any kind of a game. So massive shout out to those guys this week. As and just so you guys know, as we're wrapping this up, we appreciate all of the posts and the recommendations for what we're going to be doing. There are some things coming down the pipeline. We love the idea of ranking the best jerseys, because I'm not going to lie, I have seen some of the sickest jerseys this year. The sickest jerseys in high school. Like I'm talking like, wow, like these are some dope looking uniforms with the color schemes, the helmets and everything. I think they look super, super sick. And that was a great idea, because I think it's going to be really fun to do that. So just the reason we didn't do that this week is because we want to actually have a legitimate conversation about doing that. So we're going to be doing that. Appreciate everybody's recommendations. We'll be interacting with you guys more on Instagram as the season goes along. Again, make sure to follow us on Instagram. Go to @Idaho Underground Sports. I'll put it here at the bottom. Go follow us there. Let us know what you think. Interact with us. We're here for you guys. This is Gym Session. Any words from you guys before we sign off? Let me know.
This is going to be a fun week of football. I mean, Ty just came off a dream week of football, going 3-0 in his 3 fantasy leagues. Boise State getting the win. You know, hopefully we can have another week like that and just jump on Ty's coattail and just go have some fun.
Let's go, baby. Let's have some fun with it, fellas.
Yeah, let's go. We'll see you there. Football wasn't that good for me this week. Cowboys lost, Buckeyes lost, but hopefully we won't talk about that. AJ, go swallow another fry. All right, we'll talk to you guys next time. This is Gym Session.